For over half a century, humans have endeavored to make business a force for good. But is the movement working? Or is it time to explore a new path forward? Welcome to Less Talk, More Action. We are your hosts, Joel Caesar and Owen Barrett, experts in clean energy, net zero real estate, decarbonization, and entrepreneurship. In each episode, we ask provocative questions and share stories from the front lines of sustainability with leaders in science, tech, and business taking real action to design a cleaner, better future. Thanks for joining the conversation. Now, let's get to work. Welcome to Less Talk, More Action podcast. My name is Joel Caesar, the world's undisputed voice of building decarbonization. Joining me as always is Owen Barrett, the founder and CEO of America's fastest growing solar company. Today's guest, Cooper Marcus, Chief Quitter and CEO of QuitCarbon, an organization helping homeowners quit fossil fuels and transition to clean electric homes. So Cooper was a guy I've heard about in this space. You know me. I've been kind of dancing around electrification for a long time, and I've heard about this company, QuitCarbon, especially some of my colleagues out in the West Coast in the government industry. I know work with them. But cool to hear his entrepreneurial journey. Didn't come from this space and decided to enter the climate world, and seems to be creating a pretty effective product. What'd you think?
Yeah, I think a lot of people want to do the right thing. People are interested in renewable energy. People are interested in electrification. The unfortunate reality is it's not that easy to do. So I think companies like QuitCarbon they're critical in being change agents and helping homeowners navigate how to actually do what people want to.
Yeah, it's really interesting. You and I had a debate recently about how my company I'm at now, using AI to sort of disrupt and streamline a lot of the soft costs that traditionally make projects expensive. And I know your perspective was look, that's kind of a problem, but not the problem. But it seems like he's trying to solve something similar, right? He, in his own home electrification project, hired an advisor, a consultant who he liked and was expensive, but did a great job. And he's trying to productize that. You need an advisor to see the whole picture of your house. So it's this, it's kind of like dancing around Nate and him, these whole home perspectives as you're dancing around with your own project. There does need to seem to be a solution.
Yeah, it is. It's really hard. There's a lot of different, because contractors generally are not up to date with this kind of stuff. They just want to do what they've always been doing. So it's hard if most homeowners think that they should go to ask their questions to a contractor, but a contractor is not going to give them the right answer for cutting edge sustainability stuff. So kind of threading that needle between, it's almost like being an owner's rep a little bit for homeowners between their GCs. I think it's important. I think it's a really complicated space. It's a hard business model.
Yeah. And being that owner's rep, there's already homeowners don't want to spend money on anything. And all of the costs involved need to be trimmed to get these projects to happen. So if Marcus can turn owner's rep into a software product, then great. Hopefully that helps streamline things.
Back to the software.
All right. Well, let's now transition before we get into all that with Cooper. A bit I'm going to call Joel's tired of always being right. Does that work for you?
Love it.
So we did a bit earlier this year where we said predictions for 2026, and mine was the net zero commitment, the government regulation for climate would all go the way of energy affordability. We're already seeing some of this happen. So I'm going to cite a couple news pieces that happened in New York, my home state, recently, where NYSERDA, I forget what NYSERDA stands for, but it's a it's a state-funded research organization, which is traditionally very pro-climate, very progressive, very much a supporter of clean energy. But they, to their credit, post a very honest analysis saying that the New York State's Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act mandates could significantly increase energy costs, with estimates suggesting up to $4,000 more annually for some households. So that's a lot of money. Where climate meets household affordability, I think we're always going to win. And then I actually just posted this on LinkedIn. Even the governor of New York is now noticing this, and midterms are coming up, and her reelection's coming up, and lots of elections are happening across the country, and energy is probably going to be a strong story in all this. So I think the world where climate was going to be something we did come hell or high water is dead, right?
I mean, I'm not. Are we surprised? Like, I know it was a contrarian perspective for you to take in the beginning of the year, but I think I'm not an electrification hater. I've never understood the underlying fundamental of why anybody would electrify their house if it makes it more expensive. I don't care how big of an environmentalist you are. Like, it makes zero financial sense. So I think people are just starting to realize if you electrify your house and you have electricity rates increasing at 10, 20, 30% a year, like those two forces are working against each other. And I guess I don't think our industry should be surprised that this is happening. We've lost sight of like the most fundamental thing in clean technology and sustainability, which is if it doesn't make financial sense, it will not happen. We just need to like hammer that message home with our entire industry because we've just gone like too crazy in this decarbonization, electrification, just like do everything at all costs mentality.
It's a theme I continue to try to emphasize, and it's like related to the theme of our show, Let's Talk More Action, which is, and I had a post on this last week I've been attacked for already about how I was saying it was remember I did a solo episode last week. I'm sure you listened as a fan of the show. I
did listen to it. I did. Oh, I liked it.
Oh, good.
Joel's storytelling corner.
Yeah, but it was like, we were probably naive the whole time to think this was ever going to work, but just that when it comes to, there will always be cycles, and when there's economic downturns, I made this point in the podcast I did by myself last week, when there's downtowns that are struggling to fill vacancies and have empty buildings, and the restaurants nearby that rely on those buildings being filled to sell people lunch and breakfast are also struggling, and you're losing jobs in that city. You know what those cities don't want? More climate regulation. So it's like, let's stop even trying this because it's just giving a bad name to an already, I think, struggling brand, Climate Net Zero, that it's now also this culprit for affordability across the country.
We come back to branding a lot and how bad of a job we've collectively, the industry, have done with it. Like, there's such an opportunity to do a better job, and I don't know how that happens, but you have your like hypotheses, your sort of foundations that you're laying down there after being in the industry for so long. I have mine. Mine is like, get back to the basics. That's all we need to do if we want to make incremental progress, which at this point is like what we need. We shouldn't be swinging for home runs every time. We need just like constant incremental progress. And the way that you do that is with business fundamentals. And I think our industry needs to work on its branding, and it needs to work on its like financial acumen and just get back to the basics. Stop turning people off of the movement.
Yeah, I mean, it also goes, this will be my last point, but just this conflict that's happening, maybe conflict's a strong word, but New York City, Local Law 97, Boston has their own existing building climate regulation. We know there's more coming, DC, Denver. When people start to point fingers at those regulations as hurting their ability to afford energy in their city, then it's making it worse for the whole movement. And that's just like the point I keep making. When people attack me like, don't you care about climate? Don't you think regulation's needed? How are we going to get to all these other buildings if, the owners are going to voluntarily do this? It's like, I don't know, but I can assure you that I think the climate movement is also pretty weak already. And if you want to make it weaker, start making it more associated, or keep making it more associated with lack of affordability.
Yeah. We're not in a good spot right now.
Yeah. Well, I hate to segue to our friend Cooper on that note, but he's trying to create solutions, and he's doing it and making things affordable and being very data transparent. So with that, let's jump into our conversation with Cooper Marcus. Joining us today is Cooper Marcus, Chief Quitter and CEO of QuitCarbon, an organization helping homeowners quit fossil fuels and transition to clean electric homes. Cooper is a climate tech entrepreneur and clean energy investor who founded QuitCarbon to remove the confusion and friction from home electrification. Under his leadership, the company has helped nearly 10,000 homeowners navigate rebates, contractors, and technology choices to install heat pumps, EV chargers, and other electric upgrades. With a background spanning data science, technology, and operations, Cooper is focused on scaling practical solutions that make decarbonizing your home simple and accessible. So, Cooper, welcome to Let's Talk More Action.
Great to be here. Thanks for the wonderful intro.
Yeah, well, we're excited to talk to you. But before we get into all the details, we ask all our guests the same first question. Cooper, how are you taking action to make the world a better place?
The action I'm taking is supporting others' actions. I'm a big believer in the power of individual choice, in the power of our collective strength. When we all do a little bit, it really can add up to a lot. But the kind of choices and changes we help people make in their homes can be fraught, challenging. They can seem expensive and confusing. The folks that our clients normally go to for guidance, like contractors, can maybe not always seem the most trustworthy. And in some cases, even if they're trustworthy, they may not just be up on the latest technology and incentives. So the way we take action is by helping everyone around us take action with clarity, with confidence, with certainty that they're getting the right things in their homes for their families that are leading to the world being a better place for their communities and the whole damn planet.
Cooper, your business model is near and dear to my heart because I'm going through a situation where I can't trust contractors. And so I'm curious, I'm going to explain to you what's going on with me, and then I'm curious how you guys sort of solve for this in your business model. But we're thinking about building a new house in Utah, and we had a guest on a few weeks ago, Nate Adams, who's an insulation and air sealing expert. Yeah.
Yep, he's great.
And so I had a follow-up call with Nate about how should I think about insulation and air sealing for this house, and he gave me his opinion, which I shared with our general contractor, who immediately shot it down and said it's dumb, it's a waste of money, we shouldn't do it. So then I called two insulation contractors and asked them, how we should go about doing it, like how we should get the tightest, most insulated house. And they had wildly different perspectives. So you're in all kinds of different areas and you're in different markets. How do you arrive at the best approach for, say, a heat pump across different markets, and then find the contractors that are actually going to execute on what you recommend?
Yeah, sure. So, the situation you've encountered is not unusual, and probably none of the parties you've spoke to are strictly wrong. There are lots of ways to build and maintain and improve homes. There are certainly ways to do it wrong, but there's also a lot of ways to do it right-ish. And sometimes the differences between these right-ish ways in your real lived experience of your home may not actually make any difference, right? The comfort you feel, the bills you pay, different approaches could get you to the same outcomes. So one of the things we bring to this space is our team spends time in industry listening and learning about state-of-the-art approaches. So we have opinions about what is best, what is good, what is bad, and sort of there's a lot of in between. And as we assist homeowners in becoming confident in the right solutions for their home, we do it in a way that isn't super prescriptive, right? There's not one right way. There are sometimes some wrong ways, and one of the biggest wrong ways, which is less about insulation but more about electricity, is taking a upgrade by upgrade perspective without having the whole home perspective. So I love, Owen, that you're thinking about your home envelope, your home insulation, because that's going to have downstream impacts. If your home is better insulated and air sealed, you can get away with a smaller heat pump, which means you can get away with maybe less electrical infrastructure in this home, and probably a smaller solar array, or maybe a big solar array someday so that you can also charge your home. The choices you made in your insulation might someday even affect what type of stove you get, because it can affect how much electricity is available in your home's infrastructure to power your new induction stove. Contractors are not familiar with taking this whole home perspective, but we are. But to come back to your question more directly, I think the answer is that we find a good balance between what's state of the art and what's plausible, what's possible. You know, in your situation, what's possible is what the local contractors are able and willing to do, right? You may get advice to do X, Y, Z, but if no one's able or willing to do that, then that's sort of irrelevant. So in addition to that state-of-the-art knowledge, we'll also bring in that local perspective. Well, this is what contractors do. This is what's typical in these areas, and finding the solution that sort of fits in the middle of all of those overlapping circles.
Well, Cooper, if you it sounds like you didn't listen to the Nate Adams episode, but if you did, you would have gathered that both Owen and I are happy to take free consulting from the experts on our own home projects.
All right.
So I'll tell you about my story in a bit. Like, I did a lot of electrification work when I was at Google for large commercial real estate, and when I intro the show here, I call myself the undisputed voice of building decarbonization. But as I joked with Nate, I'm very much struggling electrifying my home here. So we'll get there in a second. But, on the show, we love to talk about cool new companies, ideas, technologies, solutions, which we're going to get into with you. But we're also as excited to learn about the entrepreneurial journey as anything else. So I'm going to go there so we can maybe then we'll get to the free consulting in a bit. But
Great.
yeah, so Cooper, tell us, why'd you start QuitCarbon? How did that come to be? How's the entrepreneurial journey going?
Yeah, I mean, God, entrepreneurship is a heck of a infection to contract that you can never really cure yourself of, and you suffer with all your life. I've been an entrepreneur since, I don't know, soon after I could walk. I washed cars in my mom's driveway for extra money. I installed irrigation systems as a high schooler, and started a bunch of companies along the way, including some sort of creative ones, a cooperative textbook store at my undergraduate university to bring some competition to the local textbook market. I'm really fascinated by the intersection of doing good while doing well, bringing business models and new sort of ways of approaching challenges, approaching problems in the market to hopefully get better solutions. My job right before this job, right before I founded QuitCarbon, I was leading a team of data scientists and software developers at Pacific Gas and Electric, a giant utility that everybody loves to hate, and rightly so. They did go bankrupt twice because they kept starting wildfires and killing people. So, their reputation is not undeserved. We were brought in to bring an entrepreneurial, startup-y kind of approach to an environment that wasn't, and to develop some critical new solutions. And we did so. A risk model that predicts long-term wildfire risk over the entire distribution network across Northern and Central California that's now being used to direct $1 billion a year in risk reduction spending. And this project really got me attuned to the intersection of data science, of software development, and of climate solutions. But it also reminded me about how I could work on sort of addressing the outcomes of the climate crisis, like increased wildfire risk, or I discovered by the end of that engagement, 2.5 years in, you know what? I really wanted to work hard on preventing the worst of the climate crisis. And let's be clear, it's driven by the combustion of fossil fuel. And lots of folks have already learned that getting fossil fuel out of their cars brings them a lot of benefits. Electric cars, they're fast, they're comfortable, they're quiet, they're more affordable to own and operate. Electric cars are well known or getting there in terms of their benefits, but electric homes, much less so. I didn't really know. When I was at PG&E, I thought homes had to be fossil fuel powered. And then I heard about heat pumps, I heard about, your home can be electric. So this gets me to the light bulb moment I had. I was planning a home remodel. Not building a new home like Owen, but remodeling an old Victorian in San Francisco. And I came to learn, doesn't have to have gas. It can be all electric. But my architect and my contractor did not know about how to make it so. They're like, I've heard of heat pumps, but you're going to need to hire an expert. I found an expert consultant.
This was in San Francisco?
In San Francisco. Yeah, you would think, right?
In a place that's, usually ahead of the curve. Yeah, but that's
right.
So keep going, sorry.
Though you would think they would know, but they didn't. But I found a great consultant, paid him a few $1,000s, and ended up with a terrific plan for getting my home completely off of gas, going all electric. And that was the moment. I'm like, holy cow, we need to do something here, because if this way we all get our homes off of fossil fuel is first by spending a few $1,000s just on a plan, no actual decarbonization has occurred, then we're in big trouble as a society, and folks will not get the benefits of all electric homes. So I spent then months and months digging into the industry, which is pretty diverse. There are contractors, there's manufacturers, there's incentive programs, there are utilities, there are nonprofits, there are government entities, and of course there's homeowners. All of these people interact in odd ways to eventually, hopefully, produce decarbonization. And the critical sort of understanding I gained was that folks need expertise. They need guidance. They don't need somebody that's necessarily better at turning a wrench. They need somebody that's better at making a plan and guiding them through it, and ideally for free. And that's where QuitCarbon is now, that we provide no cost, expert level assessment, guidance, hand-holding, motivation to homeowners as they're navigating this process of getting their homes off of fossil fuel and upgraded to that all-electric lifestyle.
So basically, the consultant you mentioned, who you were very pleased with, but cost thousands of dollars, you're trying to replace with software?
Sort of. So along the way, we also discovered that there's two big realms in which home decarbonization happens. One of them is the one that Owen's in, right? Owen, you said you're building a new home?
Considering, yeah.
Considering. Let's just commit here. You're building it, or you're building a new home, right?
You sound like my
This
wife.
is one realm, is like ground up construction or major remodel. The other realm is just maintaining and owning a home.
That's where
You
I'm
own
at.
a home, you own the appliances, you own the water heater, you own the stove. Sooner or later, they're going to need replacement. QuitCarbon focuses on that realm, maintaining, improving. The building or major remodeling is a pretty different thing. And frankly, we still need paid consultants in that realm. There is more complexity. There are more sort of degrees of freedom. Oh, and you can do all sorts of stuff, as you found out when you talked to all those different people, right? When you're focused more on improving your existing home, maybe minimizing the disruption and cost of those upgrades, that's where we fit in. That's where we bring our expertise. And frankly, it's a much larger problem. I mean, everybody maintains all of their appliances all the time. Very few people ever build a new home or radically remodel an existing home. So it's a much larger market for us as well.
Should homeowners be thinking about this as is it a piecemeal solution? One appliance goes out, you swap it for electric, or is it like a holistic, something triggers the need to suddenly think about, okay, my water heater just went down. Maybe I should think about like a holistic electrification instead of a piecemeal one?
Typically it's piecemeal, but it's kind of most importantly like retirement planning. I hope that you're young, so you got a little while here, but I sure hope you're already doing some retirement planning. Do not wait to plan your retirement until you retire. That's kind of too late. Similarly, do not wait to plan your home's all-electric future until you think you're ready to replace everything all at once and do it all. Most people don't. This is piecemeal for most people. Most people think about an appliance at a time, typically because there's either a problem or an opportunity. Maybe the appliance has failed, or maybe they just want to save money or have a home that's more comfortable or more performant. Doing it piecemeal is totally okay. It works really well for most people if you're doing it in the context of that whole home plan. Just like investing for your retirement is going to go better if you're thinking about that long-term retirement plan and maybe investing some money now, and next year you have a different investment, but it's a portfolio, right? Your home is a portfolio of appliances and services all connected by the electrical system. So we take that whole home perspective from the beginning, but most of our clients, most of the time, are doing one appliance at a time. One interesting exception is when there's big money. In various places, at various times, for various families, and we know all the details, we identify opportunities to do more than you were thinking in order to get much more than you were anticipating. a big rebate program stacks with another rebate program, stacks with a special offer, and all of a sudden you're doing $20,000 of upgrades to your home, maybe across 2 or 3 appliances, and potentially you're paying zero. And this is not just for lower income folks. We sometimes find these opportunities for middle and high income families. So this is why I think you want to sort of plan it, and you want to go into the process without a whole lot of preconceived notions about how it's going to go, so that you're in a position to maybe take advantage of opportunities that we bring to you to get big free money. And that free money is still here, and it's still coming. The Republican administration definitely caused some problems there, right? There were some tax credits that have gone away, but there are incentives now and coming in the future as well that are helping. Sorry, go ahead.
What are some of the best? No, I was just going to ask, what are some of the best markets for this big free money that you're talking about?
Gosh, it just depends. There's no answer. We operate in California. Some of the big free money is California wide. Some of it is specific to particular cities or counties. Part of the service we bring is that we identify all of those and bring them to you when the time is right. So, Owen, Joel, you can log in to your QuitCarbon insights, your QuitCarbon home profile, navigate to your insights where we're bringing you these insights. And at all times, today, tomorrow, 10 years from now, you will see the best options for your home, the best stacks of rebates, the best financing, the best equipment recommendations, because those will change. Just like your retirement investment plan might also change because new opportunities, right? Things have evolved. So there's no one answer, but really the answer is let us figure it out for you, and don't expect that you can keep track of it, because mere mortals, this is another thing I discovered as I looked into the industry. Regular folks, homeowners and contractors, they just cannot navigate the complexity of these incentive programs. Sadly, these are often kind of bureaucratic programs that are designed without a user experience in mind, right? We smooth over all those rough edges and make it clear and easier for you.
We talk about that. That's been a theme on this show with a variety of guests about how Owen and I consider ourselves experts in building decarbonization, and we have trouble navigating our own regional utility incentive programs. So if we can't figure it out, how the hell you think the average person? So I'm gonna go actually double click on something you just said about new technologies. It's a question I was thinking about today, and it's gonna be, we're gonna talk about my house here. We're gonna get some free consulting. So
let's do it.
I'm in an old New York 1950s built home that's not well insulated and has lots of air sealing issues, and it's heated by hydronic system that's fueled by oil, which is not just bad for the planet but very expensive. And so I did a little bit of I installed some mini splits in one zone of my house recently, but as I'm witnessing that process, it's pretty clear. It's just I've learned to appreciate the hydronic heating, even though it's expensive, but it's just this more uniform, comfortable level of heating. Whereas the heat pump, even when it's working well, it's just blowing air. That's not as comfortable. Yeah. And I post every week. Every week I post on LinkedIn something where I start with cool week 30 of cool decarb tech I think the world should know about. And today I posted about Mitsubishi Train announced this air to water hydronic heat pump system, which was oh, interesting. And maybe that's something I can do so I can keep my hydronic system, which I like, but use a heat pump. So it's a long way of asking you a question of how do you ensure your technology and your recommendations and your planning is keeping abreast at the very constantly evolving market and new technologies that are available?
Yeah, great question. Well, we put in a lot of effort. We go to the trade shows, we talk with the manufacturers, we read the blogs, we get all the magazines, and we digest that all down into recommendations, not requirements, into perspectives that you will gain both in our software and from our expert human advisors. And we keep updating those. Just earlier today, I had the team meeting and we reviewed a new vendor of induction cooking technology that we really like the look of. And I'm here's why this is an interesting option for our clients. right? So now the team knows about that, and at the same time, our software platform knows about that. So in the coming days, if you log back into your QuitCarbon Insights, you may see some new recommendations. There's no shortcut, though, to that, and certainly the folks that you would normally rely on to bring you that expertise, like contractors, I gotta say, they got a lot going on, right? They're running small businesses in a difficult business environment. They're driving trucks, they're turning wrenches, they're making payroll, they're trying to do advertising, and you're asking them to stay up with the state of the art from all these different vendors, which can be quite challenging because that announcement you heard from Mitsubishi Train, it's entirely possible that that system will not be able to be installed in your home for a year or more, because these manufacturers are notorious for pre-announcing things and having things come into the market at different times in different places. Plus, no clarity that that is actually the right solution for your home. We may be able to find something that's sort of less well known, but a better option for you, especially if you have the benefit of being able to wait. We talked about planning, right? We talked about that whole home perspective. If you're in a hurry, if your boiler goes out, if your oil tank fails, you're going to need a new solution right away. But if you have a chance to plan this and do this with the benefit of some forethought, then we may be able to find you a better combination of technology, installer, and rebate that really brings you a better solution that we might tell you to wait for. I mean, Joel, can you imagine calling a contractor? They say, you know what, Joel, what I think you should do is not buy anything. You should wait a year before you give me your money. Like they would never say that, but we would. We love saying that.
Well, I could wait, but you talked about my retirement. All my money's going to this oil bill instead of my retirement planning. So
yeah, let's get that out of there. What do you think of your mini splits? How have they been working out for you?
they've been great. So have you heard of the company Quilt? You might.
Oh yeah,
it's in
love
your
Quilt.
neighborhood.
Known them from the beginning.
Yeah. So one of their founders was on the show months ago, and as Owen likes to make fun of me, I'm always shilling for free stuff from our guests here on the podcast, and they were kind enough to give me complimentary equipment to try because they're trying to grow in the Northeast, especially New York, and I was like a field tester for them. So.
Yeah.
Love the equipment has been fantastic. It looks cool and sleeker as they advertise. I had mini splits installed on a home in LA years ago and had a great experience with their performance, but my wife did not love the way they looked and disrupted the look of our California Craftsman. So it's cool what Quilt's doing there. But I think going back to your question, my heat pumps have struggled this winter, the mini splits, and I don't think it's because Quilt and the system's not effective. My house is just old and has bad windows and it doesn't have good air sealing, and it's just been a struggle. Yeah, so we're excited about how they'll help in the summer because I'm in this, as you're describing, like my house is old and things are breaking and things should be replaced, but I'm doing it piece by piece, and I think the mini splits will clearly be part of the long-term solution here. But I'm also excited about this potential hydronic thing.
Yeah. The piece by piece, the sort of try it for a while, is really a technique we do encourage people with for things even like yours, where you now have two heating systems kind of running in parallel. What you're experiencing is that, I like the look, I like the performance of the new heat pump that I have in parallel, but now I'm really understanding that maybe the next place to invest is in my home envelope.
Yep, for sure.
And you were able to make that decision with the benefit of experiencing it. We love that sort of experiential kind of thing. You curious about EVs? Maybe go rent one or borrow one for a little bit, right? You want to try out induction cooking? Go get one of those plug-in induction cooktops. $60. It's not the same performance. You're not going to do Thanksgiving dinner on it, but you can start to experience these things. Curious about solar and batteries? Have your friend show you their little app and watch the money roll into their pocket from the sun hitting their roof. We think this sort of becoming more familiar with the thing before you really commit to it is a great way to go. And one way to become familiar, of course, is talk to us about it, talk to our staff and our computers about it. But I love that you're trying it out. I'll give you a little free advice on your hydronic upgrade. Getting a air to water heat pump that's going to replace your oil boiler is today challenging, expensive. It's a relatively small market domestically. In other countries, it's the dominant approach, but not here in the U.S. Because it's smaller, it can be a bit more expensive. But as you saw, manufacturers are coming in, There'll be more contractor participation in the hydronic, the air to water heat pump, and we expect that world to keep improving. Plus, we're seeing developments on the incentive side. Some of those super rich incentives I were mentioning earlier, those were for air to water hydronic heat pump systems in California. Huge money was on offer last year, and we think it's going to come again in the future. We'll help you find that in your area too.
Great. Well, I'm on the website right now, the QuitCarbon. I have to give you credit. This chatbot that popped up called Mini Splits. That's a nice little name for the
It's
chatbot.
cute, huh? Yeah.
Cooper, we're getting close to time with you here, and we always have our last question. But before we get to that last question, actually, Owen, you want to ask the last question before I ask mine?
Second to last.
I'm curious. I think as Joel has alluded to, one of the things that we talk about a lot is, we've been in this space for 10, 12 years, and it's impossible to stay on top of incentives or, getting like the right information from contractors. Maybe I spent a lot of time in solar, so getting advice from contractors and installation is outside of my window of expertise. I mean, what, how do I ask this? Like, what drives a homeowner to go to you guys? Is it frustration trying to do it themselves, or are they just like, they recognize right out of the gate that they need help and they're turning to you?
The help we offer is unusual, right? In the olden days, well before you two were born, but when I was a kid, we would go to a travel agent. My mom would take me to a travel agent. We would sit down with them and they would go clack, clack, clack on their green screen terminal. And that's how we would discover airlines and hotels to book and what was our itinerary going to be, right? That was the way. You went to an expert, and they were no cost. They were paid for by industry, just like we're paid by industry. Everybody knew back then, go to a travel agent. Well, then the world evolved and people started shopping for flights and hotels online. I've heard that travel agents are coming back. But in the realm of improving and maintaining your home, most folks don't think about calling an advisor first. They think about calling a contractor first, right? You can imagine how that sort of doesn't work. We've talked about ways that doesn't help. I mean, imagine calling a hotel in Paris and saying, can you please plan my fabulous summertime European vacation? They're like, well, come stay with us. I don't know about the rest, right? So it's a new thing for people to talk to an advisor before they go on this journey. We get some folks who are just motivated by an urgent need. An appliance has failed, or they've gotten a really high utility bill. Others are motivated by wanting to be sort of state of the art, right? I've heard about heat pumps, comfort and safety when there's a gas explosion or a wildfire or a smog event and you can't open your windows. That motivates people to come to us and say, what can be done? What can I do in my home? We certainly get some folks who are motivated by the climate crisis and by wanting to do their part for their communities. Some people just hear about free money, and like you, they go check out incentives and their heads explode a little. They're like, oh, can someone just explain this to me? So we get all sorts, but we do have a challenge, Owen, with having people even know that we exist, that we're here to offer that advice and expertise and guidance with no expectation of you doing anything in particular except hopefully feeling a bit more informed and motivated.
Well, that won't be a challenge
That's awesome.
anymore. You're on the world's fastest growing sustainability podcast, so everyone's going to hear about you now. And we call it the Less Talk, More Action bump. Let's segue on to our last question there, Cooper. You're an entrepreneur, so I'm sure you're an optimist at heart. I guess you have to be, right? So in the world of climate and sustainability and environmental movements, we often see too much focus on the negative side of the news. So we like to keep it optimistic here on the show. So Cooper, what gives you hope for the future?
Gosh, there's just so much. I was thinking about this question before, and one thing that really gives me hope is developments we're seeing in the accessibility of clean energy technologies to everyday folks, even to renters, because these technologies just plug in. For a long time, I think clean energy and being more environmentally sustainable, even just investing in your home, it was thought of as something for like rich people, right? And in some cases, it was. I mean, solar, for example, used to be really expensive, and it was, over time, kept getting cheaper. Now what we're starting to see are solutions that you can just bring home and plug in. They work whether you're an owner or a renter. They're cheap. In some cases, they make money for you. Solar panels you can put in your backyard and plug in. A heat pump you can put in your window and plug in. New induction stoves that go into any house. They don't need any special wiring. They just plug into the same outlet that your gas stove. Did you know your gas stove plugs in? It does. Well, you could power a delightful, amazing modern induction stove on the same outlet because of advancements in technology and increasingly advancements in sort of regulation and permitting. So the thing that gives me hope for the future is that the barriers to entry keep falling. The equipment gets cheaper, the accessibility of it improves, with the combination of the kind of advice and guidance we provide and the fact that so many of these technologies now just have a plug. I really think I'm excited and motivated to bring more of these solutions to more folks who can get them more easily because they're so much easier to just get, bring home, plug in.
Well, let's wrap it up there. And we're excited to help share your message and hopefully get more people onto the website. And that's a good segue to my last ask of you is what can we plug? Do we follow you on LinkedIn? Is it QuitCarbon.com? Tell the audience where to find you.
Yeah, come on over to QuitCarbon.com, mash that pink button, tell us a little bit about your home. We don't yet serve all of the USA, but we're getting there, and we're bringing some of what we do to parts of the USA more quickly. The best way to find out about the great offers, these new technologies, is mash that pink button. Tell us your email address, where you live, and we'll be in touch as we're able to help you along this clean energy journey that we're all embarking on.
It's great stuff, Cooper. We wish you the best of luck. Thank you for joining.
Thanks, Owen.
Thanks for being on the show. Thank you,
Yeah,
Owen.
thanks for
And
coming on.
thank you to our audience. You can also find Owen and I on LinkedIn, usually actively antagonizing the more talk, more complaining sustainability crowd. You can find this podcast and more great content at letstalkmoreaction.com. If you like the podcast, please subscribe, like, and share with your friends. And until next time, we encourage you to ask yourself, what are you doing to take action to make the world a better place?